everyone, and welcome to the Zelda Cast here on ZeldaDungeon.net. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by Allison Aletha. How you doing, Al? We had I was going to say we had a busy week. We didn't actually really have a busy week, but we did have I was going to say we had a newsworthy week, but maybe we didn't really have that either. But we did have a week with the Nintendo Direct. How you doing, Al?
I mean, I'm fine. I feel like, I think we talked about it last Direct where we're like, this is nice, not having to stress about a Direct and like stress about any news and all that kind of stuff. Right. And I knew this week we were going to be like, it's no stress. I doubt there's going to be Zelda stuff besides maybe the amiibo. So it was kind of like, yeah, no stress. But then it was like, it just wasn't exciting at all for me. So, and we're going to talk about it, but
right.
Like, yeah, it just kind of made it like it was fine. It was a fine week. It didn't make it an exciting week like we're used to.
Yeah. I kind of thought that we were going to get a Direct like this last week or this upcoming week. I was pretty sure it's going to be one or the other. And I was pretty confident that there would be zero Zelda stuff, especially in the wake of last week's, I guess, news or announcement that Nintendo is not going to make Tears of the Kingdom DLC.
Yeah, it was like even more solid of an answer than there's no plans. It was like, no, we are not.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I wanted to cover that really quickly because somebody had, sometimes when you get these answers, there can be slight translation problems or something like that, where maybe what the intended message was didn't exactly come across. Like we talked about last week when Eiji Aonuma said that the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom are going to be, quote, traditional Zelda dungeons. We kind of you discovered that that's not exactly what he said. However, somebody reached out to actually NPR reached out to Aonuma to look for clarification on this no DLC, and he being Eiji Aonuma was very, very blunt and gave us a direct answer. Quote, "In Tears of the Kingdom, we were able to implement all the elements that we wanted to achieve in this world and this story, so there will not be any DLC. Please continue to enjoy the vast world of Hyrule." So, again, like I feel like that's kind of too bad. I get it, and I think... Yeah. I think that adds credibility to something that I said last week. I think it does. And we'll talk about that at the end when we talk about everything after the Direct. But the main takeaway there ain't no DLC coming for Tears of the Kingdom.
I find that like an odd sentence where he's saying, yeah, we accomplished everything that we wanted to accomplish with the game, therefore there will not be extra content. And I can't help but think, like, isn't that how you want it to be? Anyways, when you make a game, you want the game itself to accomplish everything that you want, and then if you do DLC, it's extra. It's just bonus, not, oh, hey, we forgot to implement this one thing in the game, so let's make it DLC. So I just find that comment a little odd and like maybe kind of off-putting. Like, what in like Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, what did you not implement in the initial game that you obviously wanted to, therefore you made it DLC? That's kind of what I'm getting from that takeaway. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm glad that you did everything you wanted to with Tears, and that we have no more that we have to speculate about.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, I'm in a weird spot with that statement.
Okay, I was going to say this for the end of the show, Al, but you've lit a fire in me, so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly what that statement means, because it does not mean what he said. But this is my interpretation, but I feel like, every now and then I have a good idea, and I feel like I'm onto something here. I'm like a dog with a bone. And what he said was, we have achieved everything we want to with Tears of the Kingdom. There's not going to be any DLC. Clearly you could make DLC and expand on the story, you can do anything you want. So like, that's not a legitimate answer, because you can put in more you could do anything, and people would have gulped it up, right? Like 20 million copies sold, they would have made some money back on this. So it's not that I'm sure that it's not that they couldn't think of an idea. I'm sure that it's not that they didn't have ideas, even in Tears of the Kingdom, that didn't make it into the game, that they could have just tweaked and worked on and made as DLC. What I think he's saying is, like, we are not working on DLC because we're already moving on to the next project. Yeah. And last week, Al, I came on this show, the Zelda Cast, and I said The next open world Zelda will be available for purchase in the year of our Lord 2026. And you were like, ugh. And everyone in our Discord was like, ugh. Corey Richmond was like, ugh. So go to hell, Corey.
Oh my god.
A side story here, actually. So I was talking to Corey. He's helping me out with something, and I promised to stop saying "go to hell, Corey" on the show if he helped me. And he was like, no, just say it more, and I'll help you. And I was like, okay. So I got to work 3 of those into this week's show somehow. So anyways, so everyone was just kind of like, no. That's a rush timeline, and I agree. It is. It is a short timeline. However, I think that there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, is that we've read and heard a bunch of from a bunch of different sources that Tears of the Kingdom was more or less finished, like design, build, the world, gameplay wise. It was more or less finished about a year before it released, and they spent the last year polishing up the Ultra Hand mechanics. Just adding TLC where it needed to go.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if maybe when Tears of the Kingdom was more or less finished, they split the teams into 2. One team was adding in that polish. The other team was already getting to work on the Switch 2 developmental kit, getting the next Zelda, kind of maybe just laying down, seeing what that console was all about. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's the case. And I really think that, like, because we're not getting DLC, I really think that means that a new 3D Zelda is not as far away as maybe some of us might think. And I'm not saying that the new 3D Zelda is going to be as big as Tears of the Kingdom or even as big as Breath of the Wild. And there's an argument that it shouldn't be, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think that they're working on it, because I think that they're going to need a Zelda game for the new console, relatively sometime soon, like in the first 2, maybe 3 years at most. So I really think that that's coming sooner than we think. And I think that's why there's no DLC, because they're already starting to get to work on it. And I could be wrong, and fortunately for me, we'll probably never know. But that's my theory. And I don't think it's too far out there. I think that that's like a legitimate theory. So in 2026, when we're looking back, Al, we're going to remember this and see if I'm right.
I mean, it's a fine theory. I think it's fine. And, God, I just can't help like thinking about that turnaround time and just how stressful that might be for the people developing these games.
Yeah.
And like I get it. And but God, I feel like, oh my God, I'd be so tired. And the new Tears hasn't even come out, but I'm already working on the new Zelda game, if your theory is right. So yeah, that would stress me out. But I mean, that's not to say that it's not happening. So right. I mean, fair enough. I feel like maybe Nintendo is kind of learning some things, especially because it really appeared like between Breath of the Wild and Tears, there was probably like maybe a 5 or 6 month gap there where they might not have been developed, or maybe been like super early stages of developing the next Zelda game. But it kind of feels like they took a break, and then we started seeing things like they were hiring for projects. So, maybe they just thought, okay, that this 6 year release time is just too long, and they need to
I think so.
And they need to crunch it down a little bit. And I could see that being a thing. I just don't want them to start rushing it. Like, that's my worry. And I don't think that they'll put out a product that they're not proud of, But it just sometimes the demand of like a product, like there's consequences to that, just throwing it out there. So it scares me a little, but I have faith in them. So
like I wonder too, like I think what really took a long time for Tears of the Kingdom was the Ultra Hand mechanic, and to a lesser extent, like the fuse mechanic. But like, I think that those mechanics are really kind of what pushed back the development on those games. Not push back, but like that needed time. And I wonder if for the next 3D Zelda, they maybe think, and this is probably an episode unto itself that we'll get to in the future, but like, I wonder if they're just like, I don't know that we need to overthink it. I think that we could probably just make a quality world, a quality story, a quality set of dungeons, and infuse kind of the best of everything. And maybe we don't need like this ability to fuse everything, or to, even like if they had like a couple, like I don't know if runes are here to stay or not, or abilities as they were in Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if that's gonna, stick around or not, but maybe they're just like, we don't need that, and we can create a quality experience in an open world without that. But I guess that's for a different day. I will say That's my prediction. I think that the new Zelda is already being worked on by the team, and that's why there's no DLC. And I think that it's going to be out in 2026. But I also predicted that Tears of the Kingdom would sell less than half of Breath of the Wild, and that did not age well. That did not age well at all. Oh boy.
And which I'm glad for, that the game has been such a success and that it's highly rated and that it's like pretty high contender for Game of the Year. So I'm like really excited about Tears' success, despite some of the like critiques we've had about it, etc. Yeah. But and I'm not upset that there's no DLC. I feel like I got my fill with Tears because like it's also not like a brand new world, so I don't feel like I need more in that existing Hyrule. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So yeah, it's like we've already had that Hyrule for 2 other games, and so I feel very comfortable with what we've received, and I'm not heartbroken in the least. So
I do though. I think that Age of what was like Age of Upheaval or Age of whatever. New Hyrule Warriors, I feel like that potentially is still on the table. Oh my god,
what are they going to do to time travel nonsense that game?
I don't know. But like at least like this time you go in and you're like clearly just like, I don't care what they say. This thing is a spin-off, non-canon, whatever.
Be a playable character.
That would be awesome actually. Golly, that would rock. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.